How's it going, everybody? With my dad, as always. How you doing today, Dad?
I'm doing great, Matt Borey. Thank you. How are you?
Good. And today, sweet, nice, short and sweet video today. The three biggest sucker bets in the casino. And we're calling these sucker bets because not only are they bets with a very high house edge, but there's better ways to make the exact same bets. Well,
Well,
not
not
well, close
always.
enough on two out of three of them. Yeah.
Sure, two out of three. Okay.
So I'm going to start with number one, and that is the big six and the big eight bet and craps. And I'm covering this one because dad hates craps and I love craps. So it started to phase out a tiny bit, but there's still a lot that have it. If you walk up to a craps table, it's sort of the pass line and the don't pass. They're shaped in an L. They come down the short side and then turn and go around the long side of the table. And right in that corner, there's usually a big six and a big eight right there on the layout. And that's why they're called Big Six, Big Eight. It's a very simple bet. You place your chips there. If a six or an eight comes in, whichever of the two you're betting on, you put $5 on the Big Six. If a six comes in, you win. If a seven comes in, you lose. Any other number comes in, it's a push. Your money stays there. You can take it back. You can leave it there. You can do whatever you want. It pays even money, though. So, you bet $5, you're getting back $5. There is a much, much better way to make this. And the house edge on this bet is 9.09%, which is a really high house edge for a table game, especially. And instead, what you should do is you should place the six and the eight. And the main difference is, which I think is the only reason that people make the big six, the big eight, the big six, big eight. You put that money, you just drop your chips right on there. You make it yourself. Place the six, place the eight. You have to place your chips down on the table, then tell the dealer, I would like to place the six or I would like to place the eight, and then they take it. It's a bit more intimidating of a bet to make if you've never been on a craps table before or if you're not very well versed. The house edge placing a six and an eight drops all the way down to 1.52%. And it is literally the exact same bet. The six comes in, you win if you're on the placing the six. And eight comes in, if you're placing the eight, that bet wins. Seven comes in, you lose. Any other bet, same thing. Your chips sit there. You could take them back, you could leave them, whatever you want to do. The main difference being if you place the six in the eight, it pays 7 to 6. So for every $7 or $6 that you bet, it pays $7. And that's the big thing here that makes it a bit confusing is you have to make this bet in increments of $6 or they short you and the house edge goes up considerably. So if it's a $5 minimum table, you put down $6 and you tell the dealer, I want to place the six. Or you put down $6, tell them you want to place the eight. They take your $6, they put it there. And then if it wins, they pay you $7, and then your $6, you can either take it back or you can leave it there to keep betting. So, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever to make the big six and the big eight bet to get shorted. And what is that? Like is 6 times as high of a house edge.
Yeah, well, one thing you don't mention there though is you could put $6 on Big Six or Big Eight also, but when you
Yeah.
win, they're going to pay you $6. But
Yeah.
if you place it, you're going to get seven. So
Yeah.
that alone explains. So that's a sucker bet in the sense that there's a better bet on the table
Hmm.
to make than the Big Six, Big Eight. So yes, I would agree that's a sucker bet. But now you came up with this list. And I'm not sure I agree with you, okay? Because you just came up with a high house edge bet. Uh, and um, and actually, before we do this one, let me talk quickly because, well, all right, let's do this one. And you have the tie bet in Baccarat.
Hmm.
Okay. So Baccarat is a very low edge house game, a little more than 1%, whether you bet player or banker. And unlike blackjack, where you have to decide how you play your hands, in Baccarat, you don't have to do that. You just have to decide what bet you want to make, player or banker. And the rules are built into the game. The dealer will play by those set rules. So all you have to do is just decide player or banker. Now, if you bet the player and you win, both will pay even money. But in the long run, the banker hand will win more often. And because of that, if they paid you even money every time, you would have an edge over the house. So what they do to even that out is they charge you a 5% commission. So if you bet $100, you would owe the house $5 if you won on the banker hand. Okay, but again, banker hand's slightly better than player hand, and again, a very low edge, a little more than 1%. So now you had put here the tie bet. The tie bet's a bad bet to make in Baccarat because you have the
Mhm.
two choices, player banker, slightly more than 1%. If you make that tie bet, the house edge goes up to
14.36%.
14.36%. Now
Now that's
it pays
assuming you're playing with 8 decks.
right now, and it pays 8 to 1, so it sounds like it's really good, and it is good if you get 8 to 1 for your bet. But you always have to look at the house edge in any bet you're going to make. So again, there it's 14.36%. So you don't like it because it's a high house edge.
No, the reason I put it in here as a sucker bet is because if you're making the player bet or the banker bet, if it
Hmm.
ties, you don't even lose. Your bet just pushes. It's not like you would lose your money if a tie comes in if you're betting player or
Right.
banker. If the hands tie, it's just a push. You don't win or lose. So it's not like
Okay.
you'd be losing money if a tie came in. That's why I think it's a bit of a sucker bet there.
Well, we should talk about Payout poker one day because there's lots of pushes in Payout poker.
Hmm.
But because you're in this area here of high casino edge, one thing I just want to touch on briefly before we go to the third one is keno, and I'm talking about live keno. Because years ago it used to be widely available. Now we looked it up the other day. What is it about? Only
13 left in
13
Vegas.
casinos have live keno, because now the keno is all in the electronic keno in machines. But if you can find and we used to, when we did the American Casino Guidebook, we'd always put in a chart each year showing the highest edge that the casino made. And it was always live keno. It was
Yeah,
about
I think it was like
27,
27. Yeah.
27% house edge. It was pretty consistent year after year after year. The only good thing about it, though, was it's not a fast-moving game. So
Very slow.
you could you could bet $1 and
Hmm.
play. The other thing is what I used to tell people was if you wanted to get a drink, it was good for getting a drink because you could bet $1 and sit there with your Keno card. The drink lady would come around and you could order a drink and you were making money by doing that. But even better, some people would do this. They would go and they wouldn't play at all, but they'd sit in the Keno lounge and they'd pick up Keno papers on the floor, Keno cards. So it looked like they were betting, and when they came around, they'd order a drink, so they were getting free drinks that way, and it didn't cost them anything at all.
That's the
But
Matt Borey
anyway,
special right there.
so we had discussed that many years ago when we were doing the book.
I will say
But
though, the only fun thing about Keno is it used to be that they uh, broadcast the Keno lounge live in the television from the room, and we would sit in the room and like bet each other quarters on who was
uh,
gonna what number. We would just each just pick a
I don't
number.
think it was quarters. I think it was dollar bills. We were
Oh
high
well,
rollers. Yeah. So,
yes,
so we would pick a number and say, oh, if my number comes in, you owe me $1. If your number
yeah.
comes in, I owe you $1. All right. So I put in my 2 cents there on Keno and Baccarat. So now back to you.
All right, now the last number three for the sucker bet, which I think is a sucker bet again, is the five number bet in roulette. And now this only applies to double zero roulette. And double zero roulette, every single bet you make on the table has a 5.26% house edge, with the exception of this five number bet that we're talking about. But I'm sure you've seen anybody in the gambling space has seen these videos of people saying they have these great gambling roulette systems that you're going to win money every time and this, that, and the other thing. That's false. No matter what you do in roulette on the double zero table, you have a 5.26% house edge. All these crazy systems, all they're doing is changing the volatility. We have a joke, my dad and I, that we have a way that you can win every single time in roulette, and that is just put $1 on every single number. You're always going to win. You're just going to win less than you're betting. So that's where that 5.26% house edge comes in. But the five number bet specifically that we're talking about here, this is all the way at the top left corner of the table. So they have the grid where it goes number 1 through 36, and it's three across. So 1, 2, and 3 are right across the top, and then 0 and double zero are above them. If you take a chip and you put it right there on the corner of the 1 and the 0, you're betting on all five of those numbers to come in, and it only pays 6 to 1. So that might sound great. Oh, I pay 6 to 1, and I'm betting on five numbers. But the house edge, if you make that one specific bet, jumps to 7.89%. So that's all just betting that number right there alone. Your house edge goes up by almost 50% on that one bet. So if you stay away now, double zero roulette's not a very good game to begin with. But if you just stay away from double zero roulette or stay away from the five number bet, you're saving yourself 50% on the house edge almost.
Right. If you wanted to make that bet, say you had dollar chips and you wanted to put $5 down and make the five number bet, you would be much better off to put them on each number, 0, double zero, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
all five
$1 on
chips.
each instead
Yeah.
of $5.
Right. So that lowered the casino edge to 5.26 from 7.89. But and in the past, I don't know, it was the Sands that started triple zero roulette. I want to talk briefly
Well, that's
about triple
been
zero
called the
roulette.
Venetian for about 25 years, Dad.
Yeah, but actually the name of the company is
Yes.
still the Sands, I believe.
Uh-huh.
But they came out with that. So a lot of other casinos in Vegas went to triple zero roulette. And again, that's another bad game. The house edge in that is 7.69, slightly below the five number bet. But and I've seen people there'd be a triple zero wheel and a double zero wheel, 5.26 or versus 7.69, and you'll find people that they just don't understand. So the more zeros in the wheel, the worse it is for you as a player. So keep that in mind. Always avoid triple zero roulette because it's a sucker bet. Try and play single zero if you could find it, or double zero.
And stay away from what they now have, quadruple zero roulette on the electronic tables in Vegas. That's coming out now. But they know that players have started to figure out that the more zeros, the worse it is for the player. So what they did is they eliminated the zeros and they replaced them with four different colored gems. So if you ever see an electronic roulette table with four gems on it that are different colors, just turn around and run.
Hmm.
Go give your business to a different casino because these casinos are out of control with this. It's a 10% house edge on that quadruple zero roulette now.
Right, but now on the plus side, I did read an article earlier this month that said Wynn had removed all triple zero roulette games from their casino. They did that at the start of September. So that was a good
Good
move
for
on
them.
that on their part. I don't think anybody else has followed them,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully they're starting a trend to avoid that another bad bet on
Yeah.
when you go into the casino.
Credit where it's due. We complain all the time about casinos making games worse. We might as well give somebody credit for making something better.
There you go.
And that does it. There is our three biggest sucker bets in the casino with a few bonus ones thrown in there.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching and best wishes for good luck in the casino.